Rivalry week, good old-fashioned hate. This is what college football is all about. Clemson at South Carolina, 7:30 this coming Saturday on the SEC Network. I really don't have to say that much after that. I could just end the video and let the chaos ensue. First, welcome to Clemson Football Live. I'm Brian. Thank you so much for watching the video, whether you're part of my Tiger family or whether you're part of the feathered foe of Columbia. I do appreciate you being here. I hope you'll subscribe, hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs down, and try to keep the comments family friendly if you can. And let's dive in. Both teams has had a disappointing season. I mean, I would love to sit here with my orange and white flag behind my head and tell you that all the great dreams that I had for the 2023 season came true. But even if I was heavily medicated and backed over by a truck, I would still know different. This season for Clemson has been terrible. Now, if you're a Gamecock, you loved every second of it. You loved the 21-point loss at Duke. You love seeing us, lose to Florida State, but you can kind of understand that. You know what it's like to play Georgia and lose to them, which that was the first time we lost to Florida State in forever. But I mean, the Miami and the NC State game was just, there was a lot of fun for you. But the Gamecocks, they found ways to lose games this year that was quite interesting. Almost lost to Jacksonville State a couple of weeks ago. And there is even a very small faction, but it's still there, a very small group of people in Columbia or part of that Garnet and Black nation who's semi-rumbling against Shane Beamer. It's got really interesting. It's really odd what's going on. Now, for us Clemson fans, and to the dismay of some of you North Carolina or South Carolina fans, I'm going to talk to you about the South Carolina season. First of all, it started off with North Carolina, the team Clemson just beat yesterday, Clemson beat them yesterday, beat you at the very beginning of the season. Spencer Rattler, and I'm going to pause right there. Spencer Rattler has gained a lot of respect with me. His offensive line is basically a bunch of mannequins with jerseys on. He was sacked 9 times by North Carolina in that one game. And Spencer Rattler still threw for 353. And he busted his butt to come out there and play well. I didn't see any of this punk nature. I see so many of these quarterbacks. There's so many quarterbacks out there who's supposedly explosive, and they're just punks. They're passionate. No, you're a punk. It's okay to be passionate and be angry about something, but you can tell the difference between passionate and angry and just a punk. Spencer Rattler showed me this year, take it as you will, that he is a true baller. And I have a lot of respect for him. But his offensive line, basically, I don't know if they're mad at him, but they've really hung him out to dry. Second game of the year, you beat Furman. That was, until yesterday, their only loss of the season. You beat them 47-21. Then you went to Georgia. You lost at Georgia. You beat Mississippi State. Then Tennessee got revenge on you. They got revenge on you. In Neyland, 41-20. You lost to a bad Florida team. I know everybody wants to say, well, that's Florida. Are you serious? They're the artists formerly known as Florida. They're terrible. They're just not good. Then you lost to Missouri, 34-12. You lost to Texas A&M in one of Jimbo Fisher's last games. You barely beat Jacksonville State, who I think this is their first year in FBS. I mean, you went and beat the nerds of Vanderbilt. And then yesterday, you beat Kentucky, 17-14. You're now 5-6. You were 2-6. You're on a 3-game win streak. Now, Clemson's on a 3-game win streak. But our 3 wins, 2 of the 3's quite impressive. I mean, it's not up there with Jacksonville State and Vanderbilt, but hey, we'll take it. It's just Notre Dame and North Carolina. And then you play Clemson this coming Saturday night. Now, I just want to tell everyone straight up, my oldest son, thanks to his grandfather, who is a friend of mine, I just talked to him, is a South Carolina Gamecock. My 17-year-old son is a Gamecock. I took him. This is crazy. Last year, he had never been to see the Gamecocks play. So my brother-in-law, who is a Tennessee grad, yes, took him down to Willie B last year to see Tennessee, who was a playoff contender, play at South Carolina. They won. South Carolina, you remember, they drugged Tennessee. That was my son's first game seeing the Gamecocks in person. Well, the very next week, they played Clemson. So I got me and my oldest tickets to see Clemson play in South Carolina. South Carolina won then. My oldest claims he was the luck that got South Carolina winning last year. And so I'm not going to tell him any different, but my point is I have people around me who are Gamecock fans. I watch a lot of Gamecock football. So I know a lot of the players. If I take a jab, I can actually take a pretty good jab. Your secondary is basically, in the words of my oldest, who is a Gamecock. God help me. I'm sorry. I don't know what I did, but I'm sorry. He said a piece of paper laying over the top of a wide receiver could cover the opposing team's wide receivers better than his own team's secondary. Better than the Gamecock secondary. And it's true. Tiger or not, it's true. The offensive line is terrible, and the secondary is not that good. It's really bad. Now, let's talk about the stats here. Let me see. Let's go to some stats here. Okay, so Clemson's defense after yesterday's game with North Carolina, they dropped from 6th rank to number 10 overall because North Carolina did put up some yardage on them. Clemson still won, but they're ranked number 10 in the country in total defense. South Carolina, where's their total defense? Where are they at? Oh, let's go. Let's keep scrolling. Oh, there. Clemson, remember, number 10 in the country total defense. South Carolina's number 96 total defense. They're giving up about 402 yards per game. It's not good. It is not good. Let's talk about offense. Now, Clemson's ranked number 48 total offense. South Carolina's ranked number 68 total offense. Now, let me tell us Clemson fan. I want to tell Clemson fans something really, really quick. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed, I hope you're subscribed, especially if you're a Clemson fan. You're not subscribed to the channel. Remember, almost everybody that you're going to watch or hear with these publications and stuff, they have a network behind them or they have a small series of writers. I'm here in my bonus room. Buddies like Pigskin Pete and some of these others, we're buddies. We're just out here doing the Lord's work on our own. We don't have anyone telling us what to say or what not to say. So that gets us in trouble at times, but most of the time we're right about what we say. Just like I told everyone that Deion Sanders, that was a hype show and people call me a bunch of names. We didn't have to get 4 good weeks into the season before we found out I was right. Let's talk about South Carolina. Let's talk about the good things about South Carolina. I know you think I'm drunk or something. I ain't drunk. Xavier Legette is a very good wide receiver. He is a very good wide receiver. The problem with South Carolina, other than their offensive line, is that Had Jaheim Bell stayed instead of going to Florida State, and I know why he wanted to go down there. He wanted to go down there to contend for a national championship. Now, his quarterback got his arm ripped in half yesterday, and I don't know if he's going to play for the rest. I think he's done for the rest of the season. I could be wrong. But, if you have a slight sprain, they don't cart you off the field like they carted Jordan Travis off the field against North Alabama. But Spencer Rattler really doesn't have any targets except for Xavier Legette. DK Joyner, I think, is one of the most underutilized players on the South Carolina football team. I think they've put him everywhere from water boy to offensive coordinator to running back to quarterback to wide receiver. I think he was a placeholder one time. I think he did some guidance counseling for a few of the players. I mean, he's done everything. DeCarrion Joyner is a talented player. I just think that with the former coaching staff all the way to this coaching staff, it's just that I'll say more for the former coaching staff just hasn't known how to handle him. But South Carolina does have Xavier Legette, and that guy has what? 1,100 plus receiving yards on the season. Yeah, 65 receptions, 1,187 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So this guy is very talented. He's a very talented player. He's a very smart player. He's a brute of a wide receiver. I mean, he's going to go up. He's going to possess the football. He's not just going to, I think that's over my head. I'm just not going to run it down. Or, I think I'm about to get hit, so I'm just going to let the ball hit the ground. So, no, Xavier Legette is a very good wide receiver. He's 6'3", 227. So he's a loser. 65 receptions, as I said, 65 receptions, 1,187 yards, 7 touchdowns. Let's talk about Spencer Rattler. I talked about him just a second ago. What's interesting is that he and Klubnik have the same touchdowns and interceptions. They both have 19 touchdowns passing and 7 interceptions. Okay? Oddly enough, Spencer Rattler has, let me do the math here, 594 yards more than Klubnik. So Klubnik has 2,480 yards passing. Rattler has 3,074 yards passing. And this guy has been beat up a lot. Now, before I make a comment that I have to backtrack, I don't want to have to do that. As of right now, Texas A&M and Georgia are ranked ahead of Clemson in total defense. So I can't say to South Carolina, you haven't played a defense, like Clemson. I can't say that to South Carolina, that you haven't played a defense like Clemson. I can't say that. But I'm going to tell you, if you thought that Georgia was a problem, you thought A&M was a problem. Clemson's defense, forget the 4-4 at one point, forget the, all that craziness and stuff. South Carolina, I'm telling you, this defense, Clemson's defense is unbelievable. And they've only gotten better. And how have they gotten better? In the secondary, by using a bunch of freshmen due to injury. So I believe that Spencer Rattler and I believe that Xavier Legette, they're going to get theirs. That's the thing that people have to understand about playing good football teams. Or let me rephrase that. South Carolina is not a good football team, but playing against good players. Good players will get theirs here and there. Omarion Hampton, the running back for North Carolina yesterday, coming into the game, he was the second leading rusher overall in all of FBS. After yesterday's game, he and the guy from Oklahoma State, they're tied at number 1 for leading rushers in FBS. He got his, they still lost the game. That's the point. So I expect Xavier Legette to go out there and beast a couple of guys and catch the football. But the truth is, this defense is really, really tough. This defense is unbelievable. And once again, Clemson's offense ranked number 48. South Carolina's offense is struggling. I mean, North Carolina's defense is rough. I mean, South Carolina's defense is rough. I keep saying North Carolina. I'm sorry, y'all. Yesterday was, North Carolina, and then this week we get South Carolina. But the point here is that I believe Clemson's offense, they're finally hitting a stride. Now, the key to this, if you're a Clemson fan, you're sitting here watching here, and I'm about the 15-minute mark. I got a bunch of people in here. And I'm going to stop. I'm going to pause here and just say this. Tyler said, make sure Bobby makes an appearance this week with with his beautiful chicken song. Yes, peck your dookie chicken. Yes. That will be here. Bobby Durkins, his channel will be here. You will be hearing from Bobby this week. And it's a bunch of good stuff. But yes, he will be there. But there's a lot of great comments in here. I just want to pause here before I keep going in the show. So if first of all, if you haven't subscribed, I do hope you've subscribed. It's free, right? If you want to support the show on a monthly basis, there is a join button below the video. It is really, really cheap. Midland's directory's in here. Let's see, Midland's directory. We got SR987 in here. Grafnar was on my other video. There's a bunch of people who has already, the Henderson sisters. I mean, a bunch of people who's already supported the channel on a monthly basis. I do appreciate it. Also, below the video, I have a link to a sponsor, 4puttcarts.com. They're a beverage and cart service, snack service for golf courses, as well as special events. So you're like, hey, listen, I don't own a golf course. I bet you have a birthday party, don't you? You have special events. Get them out there. They'll handle the snacks. Trust me. Go ahead and let them take care of it. And your wife, you two won't get divorced because she drove you crazy, and because she's driving you crazy to, what are we going to do? I don't know. Check them out. Tell them that you heard about them from me. Also, going to be giving away some more of these this week, courtesy of the Sawmill Shop. Sawmill Shop. A buddy of mine went and bought one of these from their site and said, "Man, their site's really nice." I was like, "Yes." So tell both of these companies that you heard about them from me. I do appreciate them supporting the show. So let's talk about the Gamecocks. If you believe for 1 second that South Carolina is going to come into this game and they're just going to be thrilled to be playing Clemson, you're an idiot. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. If you think that just because the Gamecocks has had a lackluster season, that they are just going to get in there at Willie B, the Dying Cockroach Stadium, you can walk out there, see public television across the road and all the activists over there telling everybody that, the nation consists of, they're all terrible people. Just please continue to send their donations in. If you want to turn over here out in the fairgrounds and see two rabid dogs fight over a chicken bone, you think that this is just going to be an easy peasy game. You're wrong. South Carolina has a lot to play for. They would be 6-6 in the season. This would be, a fourth win in a row for them? And a second consecutive over Clemson. So they have a lot to play for. And you need to know that. Where do I think the key is for Clemson in this? And I'm going to do more videos on Clemson and South Carolina this week. Obviously, it's rivalry week. It really comes down to Clemson's running attack. Okay? I know that South Carolina is terrible against the pass. And Cade is getting better. There's some things I'd like to see changed with him, but he is getting better. But you need to understand that both of our running backs, Phil Moffitt, he has rushed the ball 149 times for 805 yards and 9 touchdowns. Will Shipley has rushed the ball 141 times for 718 yards and 5 touchdowns. Clemson needs to continue with this simplified offensive blocking scheme and run the football. That's what they need to do. Now, if South Carolina gives them a bunch of passes, South Carolina says, hey, we don't respect your pass. We don't respect your leading receiver, Bo Collins. We don't respect Tyler Brown, the freshman phenom out of Greenville, South Carolina. We don't respect Stellato, who, my God, does he not remind you of Hunter Renfrow in the way you can throw the ball just close to him and he wraps it in? Stellato is he's becoming one of my favorite players. I really like the guy. Brennan Stoll, 6'6", big vacuum cleaner of a tight end, big body, goes up, possesses the football. Adam Randall got into the game yesterday. He was a leading receiver against North Carolina, looking good. Big body out of Myrtle Beach. If South Carolina comes in there and says, hey, listen, first of all, we can't cover. We can't cover anything. I was coming up with some analogy. I couldn't come up with anything good. We just can't cover. We're a secondary. We just don't do our job well. Clemson, throw on them. Throw on them. But I still believe the key is still just to run the football. Pound, 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 pound. And that's what I do. On the defensive side for Clemson, you don't even have to run stunts. You don't have to bring exotic packages. All you have to do is just start running towards South Carolina's offensive line. And immediately, there's pressure. And I'm not talking about like, there's pressure. No, it's like you just had a bunch of third graders trying to block you out there, and you're a grown man. It's like, good try, little Billy, and then you shove him in the forehead, and his little blonde bowl cut goes everywhere. And they have one really good receiver. Now, I will tell you this. Everybody's talked to me about Nick Harbor. At the beginning of the season. Nick Harbor. You wait till Nick Harbor. What has Nick Harbor done? I mean, if this was a track meet, great. This is not a track meet. This is football. And, I mean, did he get hurt and I don't know about it? Nick Harbor is a freak human being, but the truth is, let me see. Nick Harbor, where is he at? Russian, he ran the ball twice for 10 yards, receiving 12 catches for 195 yards, 1 touchdown. Wow. I'm more concerned with Trey Knox than I am Nick Harbor. Now, I don't know if he's hurt or not. But I'm just saying, this is crazy. Someone just said Bo may not play. Well, if he can't play, he shouldn't play. We don't need to put someone out there in pads who can't play. If he has a torn something, that made me hurt, and I don't even know what it is. So, if I'm South Carolina, what would I do? I have a bunch of you in here. I hope you've subscribed. Hope you hit the thumbs up. If I'm South Carolina, what would I do? I'd go after Cade. I really would. I would go after Cade, and I would make him prove that he can throw the football against you. Now, I'm going to pause right there and tell you. Cade Klubnik has made some bad decisions here and there. Cade Klubnik can also throw a football that will curl your toes. And you'll go, holy crap, where did that come? That's right. Cade was poorly prepared by his coaching staff last year. And I'm going to go through this timeline. I've done this. It's been a while since I've done it, but I used to do it a lot as the season was going on. We were 4-4. But I'm going to do this coming into this game because there's questions about Cade, and rightfully so. There's questions about Cade, but I'm going to take up for him for this, and just entertain me for a second. I'm going all the way back to Taj Boyd when he came to Clemson. He was behind Kyle Parker. They would work Taj in, and Taj would get some playing experience, and then they'd pull Taj out. But he would get playing experience. He probably should have got more playing experience behind Kyle Parker, but he still got playing experience. Let's fast forward to Cole Stout and Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson sat behind Cole Stout. That whole thing was unfair to both of those guys. They were trying to run the same game plan for Deshaun with Cole, but they wouldn't put Deshaun in because they wanted to show loyalty to Cole, but it ended up blowing up everything. It was disloyal to the entire team. It was disloyal to both the players because you're trying to get Cole to run an offense that his abilities was not set up for. But the guy who it was set up for sitting on the bench, so none of it made sense. Watson ended up winning the job, tearing his ACL, coming back in, beating South Carolina with a torn ACL. But he got experience. Let's fast forward. Kelly Bryant even sat behind Deshaun Watson, but got worked into these games. Now, let's pause right there. You notice this is before the national championship in 2016. So some people will say, oh, with Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, they worked in Taj Boyd with Cole Stout and with Kyle Parker. They worked in Deshaun Watson with Cole Stout. So that argument, I don't mean this rude, is a pile of crap. They were doing this before the 2016 national championship. Then we get to Kelly Bryant. He's behind Deshaun Watson. They worked him in. They worked in Trevor Lawrence behind Kelly Bryant. We know what happened there. They worked in DJ Uiagalelei behind Trevor Lawrence. They didn't work Cade in. He is the most ill-prepared quarterback since Taj Boyd, period. So when you see him make a dumb decision, and I'm sitting there going, I agree with you, it's a dumb decision. I got a group of people I can put it on. And yes, everyone shares a certain amount of responsibility themselves. This goes back to the guys who are paid a lot of money to know what they're supposed to. They're paid a lot of money for what they're supposed to know. And they didn't do it. Now that you can only hang on to that mentality so long with Cade. We've seen what happened with Bo Nix going from Auburn to Oregon. And you say, what does that mean? Bo Nix and Cade remind me of one another. They really do. Go watch them play. Cade looks like a young Bo Nix. Bo Nix had to get out of the shadow of his family at Auburn with a bad situation, by the way. Brian Harsin, that whole situation, that's bad. That made me lose a lot of respect for Auburn. I didn't lose respect for Brian Harsin. I lost a lot of respect for Auburn and their administration for going out, getting a guy who didn't fit their system. Can't blame him for taking all that money. And then come up and try to plant some type of rumor or whatever, come up with some reason they was, had an improper relationship with someone. I mean, think about how low you have to be to do that, to get yourself out of your bad decision. To me, that showed me a lot about the current administration, unless they've been fired since last year. But Bo Nix goes to Oregon, and my God, he's a Heisman favorite. Guy looks fantastic. Cade has to grow up in a lot of ways, but I think that he is, even though I don't think he still has the proper coaching support that he should have. That's not a shot against Garrett Riley. I'm just saying they've only been together for 10 months now, if that. I'm South Carolina, I go after Cade. I try to make him have to make a bunch of decisions. That's how I would play this. You know that Moffa's going to get the ball. I just read you the stats. Moffa and Shipley combined for over 1,500 yards. They combined for nearly 300 carries, somewhere in there. There's no guess, South Carolina, what Clemson's wanting to do. Run football. Duh. Stack the flipping box. And dare Cade to throw on you. Now, the only problem is South Carolina, to quote my Gamecocks son, South Carolina, a piece of paper, this was his words, a piece of paper laying on top of a moving wide receiver is better than our secondary. That's what he said about his Gamecocks. His words, not mine. And I've watched you play. He nailed it. I mean, some of his dad coming out and being a little too honest. So I don't know how well that would fare, but I think that's your best shot. So we will see. Folks, I got 78 people in here. I do appreciate you joining me on this big show. I got a bunch of people in here. Got Chase Henderson finally falling. Chase, where you been, man? You got to get together. Let me see. We got Midlands directory in here. Carolina jackpot. Folks, let me tell you right now, Carolina jackpot, I'm going to ask you point blank on the site, live, would you be a guest on my show this week? We can pre-record it. We can go live. I don't care. We'll keep it clean, family friendly, because that's how I'm going to do anyway. Carolina jackpot, will you be a guest on the show? I think it would be great. I think having Carolina jackpot, the most well-known Carolina fan in the world, come on the show. Absolutely be glad, folks. Right now, if you felt the world rumble, that's either you should be scared because there's either a bomb or an earthquake going on. Carolina jackpot says he will be on the show. Question is, should we get Bobby Durkins and Carolina jackpot together? That would, I don't know if neither one. I think that would be a disaster. Both of our channels would be banned. All three of our channels would be banned. It would be nuts. But Carolina jackpot, you have. I'll tell you this. I'm going to put my Bobby Durkins at gmail.com. I just put that in the comment section. Bobby Durkins at gmail.com. Carolina jackpot, if you'll just drop me a line to say hello, because I'll respond back to you and we'll book this sucker. I'm glad. This is going to be great. This is going to be great. And we might even figure out if there's a way we can get Bobby Durkins involved, even if it's on Bobby's channel. Carolina jackpot in the house. Thank you. I'm hoping this works out. Hawk Golf's in here. Let's y'all have a debate. Yeah. Charles Smoke, welcome your enemy. Yes, not me. Didn't feel nothing. Not me. I think I've ticked you off recently. I've read some of your comments. You were not too happy with me. Cohen Pope's in here, but not me. I'm always glad to have you here. Sassy the Sasquatch. Chase Henderson's in here, so you can actually see what player development looks like in real time. Kate has continued to improve. And I said this on my video before this, because I had a video doing a late reaction to the South Carolina, or it's not South Carolina. Goodness, there's too many Carolinas involved. North Carolina and Clemson. The only thing that concerns me for Clemson is that their coaches had to be threatened to be fired after the NC State game to get them to, pull it all together. We will see. Carolina Jackpaw says from an AOL address, don't you laugh at me either. I'm not laughing. My face is just having a seizure. Yes. Y'all tell all of your friends. Let me tell you this. There's certain people in the Gamecock community I won't take crap off of. I won't. Carolina Jackpot, we'll at least have some fun. It's great. This is going to be great. This will be wonderful. Folks, I don't care if you're at a birthday party. You better shut it down. Better watch us. Be having a great time. So, that just happened. That's awesome. That's all. It's going to... That's going to be great. So let's close this down. It's been a long video. But I still want to talk about this. I believe with all of my heart, South Carolina is going to fight their brains out. And in a video that I did over the past couple of weeks, I put this up right after the Notre Dame game. It was this video, most important games in recent history. And what I mean by that, recent Dabo Swinney history. We're not talking about playing Oklahoma in 2015 in the first round of the college football playoff. All right? We're not talking about that. We're not talking about playing Alabama the multiple times and winning 2 national championships against them. We're not talking about beating Ohio State 31-0. We're not talking about 4th and 16 LSU. We're not talking about the first Orange Bowl win against Ohio State with Taj Boyd and those guys. We're not talking about those games. We're not talking about absolutely dragging Notre Dame in the playoff, absolutely dragging them in the ACC championship when they were part of the league that one year. I am talking about considering the state of the program, considering what has happened this year, a disastrous season for Clemson fans. Now, South Carolina, they would love to be 7-4 right now. That'd be a program changer for them. That's the different places of the program. It's just 2 totally different programs, 2 totally different set of goals. If Clemson beats South Carolina this coming Saturday, Clemson will be 8-4. South Carolina would love to be 8-4. We look at 8-4 and the Oculus is falling apart at Death Valley. That's how we view it. And we should with the talent that we have. Clemson should with the expectation set by the man himself. You shouldn't be happy with losing. That first loss should have given you perspective. You didn't need the next 3. But they're fighting. They are going to fight with everything they have. 7:30, Saturday night. It's going to be nuts. I just after yesterday's game, I have this sneaky suspicion that Clemson is righting wrongs. They still have a lot of work to do. They still have a lot of prove it to me in them right now. You got to prove it to me. Just like Penn State, every year you tell them, prove it to me. Prove it to me that you're actually a contender. And what do? They go out and lose to Michigan and Ohio State. They always do it. They always do it. They're always third place. They could have Saquon Barkley and they could have an Archangel at quarterback and they'd still blow it. Clemson is at a new place. And I think that a lot of these players and a lot of these coaches had to take it personally. I think some of the players had to look at one another and go, listen. My draft stock can't take a hit like this, pal. My goal, I love the orange and white, but I'm telling you, my next goal is making a lot of green at the next level. Guys like Jeremiah Trotter definitely understands that because of his dad. Guys like Avion Terrell, who's a true freshman, he's coming out, he's balling. He knows that because of his brother, AJ Terrell. You get these guys out there, man, I mean, they're taking it personal. Then you've got coaches that, as I said, the rumor is after the NC State game, Dabo threatened to fire a bunch of people. If they didn't prove themselves, they're playing for their jobs. They're coaching for their jobs, excuse me. I don't know how that will pan out in the long term. Because if the only way I can squeeze the juice out of the fruit is to threaten to fire you, I don't know if that's really what we really need. I can't fire you if we're doing a good job, but you get where I'm going? It's a really dirty cycle. South Carolina is going to play hard. Shane Beamer, I have a lot of respect for him. I have a lot of respect for Shane Beamer. He can coach. What about signal stealing? I don't know, y'all. I honestly, I really don't know. I don't know what to say there. I will say, if it was such a big deal, the Big Ten wouldn't have just given in to a 3-game suspension to Jim Harbaugh. Like, if they had all the evidence they claim they do, you know what they would have done? They would have pushed the University of Michigan so far that they would have fired him. You know it's true. If they had all of this evidence, that's serious. Like, if they can prove that Jim Harbaugh actually did that, they should fire him. He was a mastermind behind it. They should fire him. They should. But their decision proves to me they didn't near have what they told him they had, what they told Michigan they had. Definitely what they were pandering to the media, I don't believe they had. So when we get to the whole Beamer and signal stealing thing, I don't know. I wouldn't put it past anyone. Shane Beamer can coach football. Shane Beamer is a very exciting human being. I've heard some Gamecocks question Shane Beamer. This is a select few, but they're like, I really don't know if he's a man. I'm like, who the heck are y'all going to go hire? The guy's exciting. He's young. He's fired up. You're going to go find another coach that's in retirement to go drag him out to ruin his legacy too? Won't that be what, 3 of 3? Nah, I don't think he will. Well, folks, I am going to let you go. Tonight has been this is gonna be hilarious. I still can't believe Carolina jackpot. We're going to be getting together. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. Folks, this week I do warn you that Bobby Durkins will be back. Bobby Durkins is back. And Peck Your Dookie Chicken. Let's see if I have a clip of Peck Your Dookie Chicken. It's actually a part of, let's see if I have it. Tell me if y'all can hear this.
Go ahead and peck your dookie chicken. Go do what you do best. Go ahead and peck your dookie chicken, and the Tigers will do the rest.
I don't know if they can hear it.
Take a fish out of water and try to make it drive the car. Even if
can
you're
hear it.
drunk,
Yes.
you know we won't get too far.
Bobby Durkins.
Just like those chickens from Clemson.
Yes, Bobby Durkins, and that wonderful song is coming back this week, folks. It has, there's been people, and I've heard personal testimonials, people about to jump off of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, and they have started playing that song to them. I mean, these are people at the end of the rope. Like, they're willing to jump to their death from the Golden Gate Bridge. They have, negotiators have been playing Peck Your Dookie Chicken to them, and they said it's like someone gave them an actual effective lobotomy. They're immediately healed and set free. They have a new lease on life. And all of them are now thriving members of the community with their brighter days ahead of them. So I said that like Forrest Gump for some reason. Folks, thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, go Tigers. Go Tigers. Go Tigers.